I'm Jody. I'm here with Kristi Clover.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much again for joining us, Kristi. We were with Kristi a few months back, and we're here today in her home in San Diego.
Yeah.
So nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. It's so fun to have you guys here in my home.
Yes. So Kristi is a blogger, she's a mom, and she's an author as well.
Yes.
So Kristi, tell me, how long have you lived in San Diego?
Well, we have been in San Diego for about 13 years. I remember that because my son was just a baby. So we had two little tiny people when we first moved to San Diego. So our move to San Diego was a little traumatic because we had planned to be in Northern California for a long time. And then we got transferred, and that happens. But that's actually the time frame where organization became really special and important to me because I was kind of at my wit's end with everything else that was going on. So it became a little bit of a survival mode for me.
Now tell us about your family. I know you have several children.
Yes. So we have 5 kids. My kids range from 15 down to 4, which in school terms, that would be 9th grader down to preschool. And yeah, we have a lot of fun. So 15, 14, 9, 6, and 4.
Yes, and it's amazing you homeschool all your children.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. This is our 10th year homeschooling.
Now, how long have you been a Costco member?
I've been a Costco member since Y2K, literally. I was looking it up at one point, and I was like, it was January 2000. So instead of stocking up for Y2K, I confidently went into the new millennium as a Costco member.
Great. And so what organizational tips do you have for the holidays?
For the holidays tend to be a little bit different because with the holidays, you tend to be a little bit busier. You have more things planned into your schedule. So what I like to encourage people to do is to first really take a look at your schedule and see what you can say no to, because that is probably the number one thing, is what can you say no to. So that way you can give your priority, either your priority relationships or things that are priority in your calendar, a place to be. But as far as organizing, I love meal planning. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit. But when it comes to organization, I really think, especially as moms, we need to almost redefine organization. We have, TV shows and Pinterest and social media everywhere that really makes us feel like it has to be perfect. And so redefining organization to me is just making it livable, figuring out ways that we can simplify. And so I make a list of problem areas. So if there's something that's driving me crazy in my home, then I make a list and I try to figure out, what I need to get on top of. In fact, in the corner, I have a little art area because what I found is that art supplies, my daughters love coloring and painting, but they were taking over our home. And so what I did is I just looked online to find different solutions and, how can I get things to be more manageable. So really making a list, figuring out what needs to get done, and communicating with those in your family as well. So with my husband, I talk to him like, what's important to you? Because I want my whole house to be perfect and clean, but it helped me to know that his big thing was counters and making sure that a meal was ready at night. And my big thing were floors and bathrooms because I have 3 boys. And so bathrooms were a big thing for me. So those are the 4 things that are typically tried to get done as far as house cleaning and kind of taking care of our home.
Yeah. Well, I know you love Costco because you tell me that all the time.
Yeah.
So what are some great Costco products that help you for the holidays?
Well, for the holidays and really any time of year, I'm a big whiteboard fan. In my pantry, I keep a whiteboard so as we run out of things, and it's really handy when I'm planning either parties or different things like that. Then everybody can just write down what we're missing, what we need. But for the holidays specifically, I love, don't laugh, but I love my new Dyson Vacuum. That has been one thing that has been a lifesaver to me. Even my little person can use it. And so when we are just trying to stay organized and stay on top of things, then we're pulling out our quick little cordless vacuum, and it's been really wonderful. We tend to try to simplify by having meals kind of already done. So I try to keep like a Costco lasagna in the freezer at all times. I love the label makers that you guys have, and bins, especially at the holidays. There's kind of the trend is to have like your Christmas bins to be different colors. But what I find is that a clear bin with a good label, it works just as well. And so maybe I'll put like my Christmas book at the front of it so it feels Christmassy. But it's easier to know what is in the bin if it's just clear and you can see exactly what it is.
So how about meal tips for the holidays?
Yes, well, I do have a new course coming out about holiday meal planning. But with meal planning, one of the biggest things is understanding what is in your calendar. What nights are you going to be out? So obviously I don't have to plan a meal if I'm going to be out and about. What nights do you have something where you have to eat fast and get out the door easily? So using my crock pot, so that is definitely a big Costco product that I love, is my crock pot, because that really helps me to get it done early and not have to think about it. So when I make lunch for my family, I tend to be throwing something in the crock pot at the same time. And with the holidays, you want to kind of think through how can you utilize all those appliances that you have. So whether you are heating water in, a quick little, what are they called? The little fast brewers, with the little quick water steamer things. And so I might use that before I throw something on a stove to get the water cooking faster. But crock pots, my Vitamix has been a real blessing as well when it comes to meal planning, because it just, I can throw things in there. Like I think we were talking ahead of time about the fact that I make my own oat flour. Oat flour tends to be expensive, so I just use the oats that I'll get either at Costco or wherever it is. We typically get the big, huge box, actually 3 at a time. Yeah, we have teenagers, so we eat a lot of oatmeal, but we'll get like big old boxes of the Quaker Oats, and I'll blend it up, and then I bake with the oat flour that I make from my Vitamix. So that's kind of a fun little hack. And we do a lot of smoothies. I think we talked about that before, and we try to incorporate with teenage boys. They're always hungry, and so I try to add in good protein and things like that. So when I'm meal planning, I'm thinking through breakfast ideas, I'm thinking through lunch and snacks, as well as dinner, so that I kind of have a game plan. And the number one thing with meal planning is figuring out what you can simplify, because I love cooking from scratch, but the reality is, especially during the holidays, is that's not always going to happen. So sometimes I am going to buy pre-made meatballs, or buy, maybe I'll get a bunch of meat and I'll just round up all the ground meat and freeze it and have it ready. And that has been a real lifesaver to us during the holidays. And again, keeping something frozen. So sometimes our snacks might be a frozen burrito, or other times I've taken the time to actually make the burrito and freeze it. But there's so many ways to simplify, especially using Costco products.
Well, I know there's a lot of times during the holidays we're invited over.
Yes.
What kind of gifts that you like to bring for your hostess, or food that you like to bring over for those?
Ooh, well, I don't know if you can see in the background, but the poinsettia is actually from Costco, and they're stunning. So I love plants and flowers as far as something to bring. Food is always that's, I think, part of my love language is food. So if food had a love language, then that would be mine. But I love the different cakes and meals, sometimes the little chocolates and everything. On the counter behind us, I just bought some easy breads. Again, I love cooking from scratch, but I don't always have time. Being a homeschool mom, and my husband travels as well. And so sometimes I can only do what I can do. So I try to give myself grace and buy some things pre-bought.
Yeah, and I know also you have a blog.
I do.
So tell us a little bit about your blog and your podcast as well.
Well, I am a blogger. That's kind of how I started. And my blog was originally called Raising Clovers, and it still is, but I do everything through KristiClover.com now. And the real focus and the passion behind what I do is I love encouraging and inspiring families to find simple solutions for a more joy-filled life. We tend to busy ourselves and kind of steal the joy out of our lives if we don't slow down and simplify. So kind of everything I do online revolves around that. But the podcast has been a ton of fun, and it's called the Simply Joyful Podcast. We actually have a really cool, I've had this big November to Remember going on. We released 8 episodes, and we're in the week of awesomeness. So right now I'm releasing 5 episodes in 1 week. It's been very busy, but it's been a ton of fun, and we have a bunch of giveaways going on. But the podcast has been fun because I feel like it's a way to bring the blog to life. So getting to have authors on and different influential people and speakers and motivational people on that I can ask all these questions to. And it's been fun because as the podcast has grown, publishing houses have found me, and so I get sent books now, and I love it. So I love books. So food, books, chocolate, those are ways that speak to my heart.
And from your podcast, what has been something that's really inspired you and taught you about organizational tips or meal planning for the holidays?
Yes, so with the podcast, one of the things I do at the end of every single podcast is I always ask my guests, what are some ways that you simplify, or what are some ways that you bring joy into your life? And what's been interesting, we're now on I just released my 40th episode, and what consistently people say is that the power of no. Learning to say no to things in your schedule. And I think that works as well with the holidays. You know, we've had years where I feel like there's a different event that's planned almost every single weekend. And so when you are slowing down enough to really take a look and see what are the things that we value, who are the people we really want to make sure we spend time with, and scheduling that in. And some years we magically don't have like 10 parties happening in you know, one season or 1 month. So maybe we're hosting something, and I really love entertaining, and so that's been a real pleasure. And I've actually had some guests on the podcast who are amazing hospitality experts, and they have books on it, and so it's always fun to kind of swap tips and talk through things like that.
Any tips for our fans on hospitality for the holidays specifically?
For the holidays, well. Like I said, I love baking from scratch, so sometimes I will pick out some of my favorite recipes. Again, this is where you really have to be strategic. You want to plan ahead and figure out, what am I going to take the time to make for myself? You know, am I going to make my homemade scones, or am I going to go buy them? And in fact, when I was at Costco, they had these monstrous, they were like this big, cranberry orange scones.
Yes!
Like, whoa! They look really impressive, but I knew I would probably eat too many. But when I am planning any kind of event, obviously I try to kind of tidy up, and I get my kids to help out. That's a big thing, is that I train all my kids on little things they can do to help out and to get ready for the party. So we all kind of have a job to do. But then, you know, I love having good food for people to eat. I'm never afraid if people ask, can I bring something to something that you're hosting? I always say yes. Because unless it's not an event that I really feel passionate about, like I'm trying to bless other people with food, I always allow them to bring something, just as long as they let me know so I can plan around that. But having, you know, I have a Keurig, that has been the saving grace, because with all of the entertaining that I've done through the years, I used to have to make several different like crafts. I had all these crafts like hot water, decaf, and regular coffee. And what's fun is that you can go and get the little K-Pods. In fact, I just bought the variety pack. And so people can pick what they want. And it makes it so, I mean, that right there has been the biggest hack for me, I think, for hospitality, is letting people pick what they want to drink. So I provide, you know, the creamer and the sugars, and sometimes I'll get fun little sugars and, you know, different, you know, flavors of creamers. Or I actually go and I go to Starbucks sometimes, and I'll buy their mega, you know, their peppermint syrup and things like that, so you can add different flavors that way. But it is really nice to allow them to have, you know, different coffees and teas. In fact, you guys got to sample my,
yes,
I have a tea drawer. So yeah, I have a tea drawer full of a lot of different variety, but I like offering people a variety so they can really feel like home when they're here.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Good. Well, anything else that we've missed that you'd like to share with our Facebook fans?
Oh, just enjoy the holidays, slow down, prioritize what you want to get done for the holidays. Is there a tradition that you want to do? That's actually one thing that I'm really passionate about.
Talk about traditions. Like, tell me 3 traditions that you have in your home.
Oh, okay. Well, we always celebrate Advent. So if the listeners don't know what Advent is, it's the countdown to Christmas, which starts tomorrow. So it's looking at December 1st through the 25th. And so we have different little devotionals. We do something called Jessie Tree, which I can give you guys the link to that. I have a blog post all about what we do and some of the little ornaments that we created. But we kind of go through either a Bible story or just some sort of character lesson and count down. And of course, we do have like our little chocolates that we get each day. That's the kids, really, their focus. They're all about getting their little chocolate each day. But we count down. One fun thing that we don't do every year, and that's one of my tips, is figure out which tradition you're going to do each year, because usually Christmas has a lot of traditions and you can't do them all every year. But we like sleeping under the Christmas tree, or the kids do. I let them get the sleeping bags out, and we turn off all the lights, but we leave the Christmas tree lights on. And then I usually sleep on the couch for a little bit, and then I sneak upstairs, and I come back in the morning. But baking together, there's a lot of different things that we do. We also try to find ways to give because that helps the kids to really change up with the way that they're focused on. Because usually when you ask kids, what's your favorite part about Christmas? A lot of times it's presents. Oh yeah, like, well, and you know, being together as a family, and you know, and for us as Christians, you know, like, oh yeah, that's right, it's Jesus' birthday. But we really tried to emphasize giving. And so what we started doing the last few years is our older kids do have money to buy their siblings gifts, but our younger kids sometimes will help give them a little bit of a budget for that. And we keep it really inexpensive, but it's been spectacular because it came from Christmas morning being about who gets to open the next gift to open mine next. And it's been really neat to see as the kids got excited to watch their siblings' faces as they opened up their gift. And so we always take pictures, the giver and the receiver, and that just becomes this really special time. And they all tend to take a lot of pride in the fact that they got this gift for their brother or their sister. So that's been probably the most special thing that we've done.
Yeah, I agree. We did that as a family as well. And my kids love that when their brother is going to open their present or sister. Yeah. So that's really special. Great. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. I did want to let our Facebook fans know, tell them where they can find additional information, because I know you have written a wealth of information on your blog, and you're actually doing a class, I think, tomorrow. So talk a little bit about that so they know where to find that.
Yeah, well, everything I do is at KristiClover.com. So that's Kristi with a K and an I, and Clover like four-leaf clover. So KristiClover.com. I have a link to my blog there. I have a link to my podcast there. But one of the best things is to join. I have a little Simply Joyful community. And so if they go to KristiClover.com/join, they can actually get a free book. I have a book called Sanity Savers for Moms. And it's just 7 basic practical tips for moms on how to just maximize their time and increase their joy. And that is where I let them know about different things that are coming out, whether, you know, I've written something, or if I've guest posted somewhere, if I have released a podcast episode, or if I'm on someone's podcast. But my meal planning course is underway. So right now, tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing my free holiday meal planning course. And then in January, I have a course called Meal Planning Made Easy. So I'm really excited about it. There's a lots more hacks and fun things in there. And just from kitchen organization to how to train your kids to help in the kitchen, to how do you meal plan for a big event, or how do you meal plan just for daily life. So it's been a lot of fun, but all of that can be found on the site.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
so much to our Facebook fans for joining us as well. In the next few weeks, we're going to have a variety of Facebook Lives. We're going to be talking to our Costco Photo Center about our greeting cards and photo gifts, which we're really excited about. We're also going to be in Humble, Texas next week, and we're reopening that warehouse. So we're going to be talking and doing a tour of that warehouse as well. And then we're going to be talking about our new Costco Travel Hotel program, which is amazing. So I'm really excited to share all of those different Facebook Lives with our fans. So just stay tuned for the times and dates on those. So
wonderful.
Great. Well, thank you so much for everyone, and thank you again, Kristi.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming, and thank you for having me.
Yes.